All right, folks, welcome aboard the Monday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show. I hope you had a great Father's Day. I did. I watched my son play baseball as per usual. He's a catcher. He threw a runner out, and he held onto the ball in a collision at home plate, which he didn't break in half, which was good. And I had a great Father's Day. I hope you had a meaningful one and a great one as well. All right, we have a lot to get to. Busy news day. You know what's happening. The focus on Charleston, South Carolina, and the Confederate flag. And over the weekend, we made news because Rick Perry made news from an interview that he did here with me on Friday. So let's get right to it. First of all, the President of the United States, Barack Obama, yesterday says the N-word. Now, that's all I could say, but he could say the whole word, and he did during a podcast interview.
The legacy of slavery, Jim Crow, discrimination in almost every institution of our lives, that casts a long shadow, and that's still part of our DNA. That's passed on. We're not cured of it. Racism. We are not cured of.
Clearly,
and it's not just a matter of it not being polite to say nigger in public. That's not the measure of whether racism still exists or not. It's not just a matter of overt discrimination.
The President said the N-word on the first day of summer, with trouble brewing in major cities, crime up, unrest up, dissatisfaction with the police, a church shooting, a white man shooting up a black church. The President of the United States goes on the record and says the N-word and talks about how we're a hate-filled society. You think there's a method to his madness, or you think that's all coincidental? Wake up, America! Wake up! If he wanted to quell things, he would have quelled things on the first day of a long, hot summer in the wake of a church massacre with a white shooter and black victims. He didn't do that because it's not who he is. No, he's the guy. By the way, now he's railing against guns. In 2008 in Philadelphia, when he was running for president, he said, if they bring a knife to the fight, I will bring a gun. Barack Obama, 2008. Shh, we can't talk about that. I will bring a gun to the knife fight, said Barack Obama. Keep that in mind. Rick Perry made news because on this show, Rick Perry not only called the shooting an act of hate and said that as long as there's evil in the world and cowardice in the world, referring to the event, but he also in passing said it was an accident. He meant to say incident, but because he said accident, look what we had. CBS News, Rick Perry described shooting as an accident. Let's go to the Washington Post. Rick Perry calls Charleston shooting accident. MSN.com. Perry calls Charleston shooting an accident. All because he's through an accident. In the middle of calling it a crime of hate and talking about, cowardice and hatred in this society. Evil. Let's listen to Rick Perry, what he actually said.
As long as evil and cowardice is alive in the world, and I suggest it has been and it will be, there will be people who have, for whatever reason, again, we don't know, as the President said, we don't have all the facts, and I'm not ready to point to any particular policy, but I know that we need to be working to bring people together in this country.
Okay, so as long as there's evil and cowardice. So when referring to the event, he says evil and cowardice. Here's more.
That's where I would like to see the next President of the United States really focused on bringing this country together, allowing those states to come up with programs to improve education opportunities.
As you did, but I do want to ask, is that, did he go too quickly to the microphone and blame guns? And is this just an attempt to exploit a situation in your view?
This is the MO of this administration. Anytime there is an accident like this.
He obviously meant to say incident. If it was an accident, he wouldn't have been talking about evil and cowardice. And he wouldn't have said this.
The President's clear. He doesn't like for Americans to have guns.
Right.
And so he uses every opportunity, this being another one, to basically go parrot that message.
All right. So he doesn't like us to have guns, and then there's this. should this be called an act of terror as opposed to a whatever they're calling it, a crime, a murder, a terror?
Well,
what's the line there in your view?
I don't know, but I think the facts, once we get them, there were more people than that killed in Paris. This was a crime of hate. We know that.
A crime of hate. So he called it a crime of hate. He talked about evil and cowardice in the world, and because he said accidents like this, referring to how Obama reacts to these kinds of incidents, he obviously meant incidents. Those were your headlines. Unfair, misleading, liberal media bias. Make no mistake about it. Absolute bias. Now, I want to shift ahead right here to what the governor says about the Confederate flag in the same interview from Friday.
There was a Supreme Court case just finalized that basically said the state of Texas could prohibit the Confederate
license plates. Yes.
License
you
plate.
Agree with that?
Yes, I do agree with that. That's their state's decision.
Right.
And again, that needs to be made in South Carolina. This doesn't need to be something.
So state by state should decide.
They
Where do
make
you
those
personally
decisions.
fall on it?
Listen, I agree that we need to be looking at these issues as ways to bring the country together. And if they're, if these are issues that are pushing us apart, then maybe there's a good conversation that needs to be had.
So he's in favor of having a conversation about the Confederate flag. Nikki Haley, governor of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham want the flag taken down, more or less. Why aren't they asking Hillary Clinton about her husband? When governor of Arkansas, look what he did. Look what he did. Can we put it up? He signed Confederate Flag Day into law. The Confederate flag flew over the State House when Bill Clinton was governor of Arkansas. Why don't they ask him? And then look at Hillary. Let's go to Hillary. Next one. Look at Hillary. Look at that. Look at that Confederate thing there over her head. Isn't that wonderful? How about asking her about that? No, it's only the evil Republicans you see. And while they're at it, ladies and gentlemen, how about asking Bill Clinton? Senator Fulbright, William Fulbright, was a segregationist. He was part of the Southern Manifesto, which was a racist document. Yet Bill Clinton eulogized him. We come to celebrate and give thanks for the remarkable life of William Fulbright, a life that changed our country and our world forever for the better. He called William Fulbright his mentor, a racist. He called a mentor. And then Robert Byrd, former longtime majority leader of the Senate, Democrat, of course, and Robert Byrd, a former KKK member. KKK member. Big shot in the KKK. Recruiter of some sort. And Bill Clinton gave a eulogy defending Robert Byrd's membership in the KKK. Watch!
There are a lot of people who wrote these eulogies for Senator Byrd in the newspapers, and I read a bunch of them, and they mentioned that he once had a fleeting association with the Ku Klux Klan. And what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. He was a country boy from the hills and hollows of West Virginia. He was trying to get elected.
He was trying to get elected, so he joined the KKK. And that's okay, according to Bill Clinton. Why don't they ask Hillary about that? They never will. They'll never ask her about the Confederate flag. They have no interest. It's Republican, Republican, Republican. Media bias is on display, ladies and gentlemen, front and center, and it was never more apparent and obvious with what they did to Rick Perry based on the interview we did on my show. All right, we're coming back with Michael Myers, more on the Confederate flag and Charleston. But first, Newsmax wants to send one lucky couple on a 7-day Silver Sea cruise to the Caribbean this winter. And this luxury cruise aboard the Silver Wind is the trip of a lifetime. To enter, you have to register. You go to newsmax.com/sweepstakes. That's newsmax.com/sweepstakes and try to win yourself this great cruise. Good luck. We're coming back with Michael Myers.